Hello and welcome back again to the Meat channel. Today we're doing something different again. I've done one of these before. We're going to do a Chaos Galaxy tier list. I feel like this is a good chance to do this because we're kind of an end of an era for Chaos Galaxy, right? We just got through the first four sets. Every deck has a starter deck now. It kind of feels like Chaos Galaxy is like moved past its like classic era. It's like moving to like a more modern era. So I figured I might have to do a couple of these, maybe go through each like planet, and then maybe like attachment resources activators, stuff like that. So we'll see how many of these do. I do. There are like 500 cards, so we'll see if I get through all of them. I will try my best. That being said, two things of note. Today we're doing the no planet creatures. It's a pretty small pool of creatures, so I feel like it'd be pretty manageable and easy to start out with. And then secondly, we are going to be doing this by, how to explain this? It's going to be by competitive viability, but it's not going to be the viability in the current format. It's going to be basically how successful has this card been, and does it occupy, does it like fill a niche that I think will continue to be relevant in Chaos Galaxy? So just for like a basic overview of like how I'm going to organize these tiers is that S tier is going to be these are cards that have been meta defining and I think are still good, whether or not they're good in this format or not. A tier are going to be cards that are at the very least strategy defining. These are cards that are probably core to um, either like tier 2 decks, or they're like strong parts of like tier 1 decks, but not the main part maybe. B tier, these are cards that have seen play in competitive, but maybe they're just not the most important cards, or they weren't the most common cards. C are cards that haven't seen a ton of competitive success, but I think they have kind of a niche that is relevant or potentially relevant. So I wouldn't like bat an eye at seeing somebody play one of these cards. They just haven't been particularly successful. And then D, these cards are like these cards usually these cards like I think they're bad. These are like where the cards start to get like bad. But D is like it's bad because there are other things that kind of do think better, and then F is like these cards are just actively holding you back because they're so bad. My cat is meowing. Cat, come back. We'll see if we can get her on camera later. So I guess I'll start with this. We're gonna do this in release order, I believe, just starting with. We're gonna start with set 2 because there were no planet creatures in set 1, so we'll just start with Infinite. So Infinite, I have some notes here that I took because I didn't want to think about this all on the spot. That would have been awful. So yeah, Infinite. Where did I put it? Yeah. So Infinite. Okay. So the issues with Infinite. Infinite has never really been seen here. I get the cat on camera. Oh. Okay, you can sit over here. Okay. So Infinite. Obviously Infinite's pretty poorly statted. It's like 200, 200 or something, and then it gets boosted the more killed 4-star vanillas you have. So it really caps out around like 600, 650. I don't remember exactly. Um, so it's just like a big creature for 8 stars. But it requires so much setup, and the setup requires you playing like pretty bad cards. So I think like playing Infinite is like probably has always been like pretty detrimental to your deck, I think. Because to actually take advantage of it, you have to play so many weaker cards. So I would like pretty comfortably put Infinite in the F tier, I think. I think that's all I have to say about Infinite. Yeah. Also, Meltalon was out the set before this, which is like cheaper than Infinite, and it's also going to be bigger than Infinite, like the majority of the time, and requires no setup. So, yeah, this is just like a pretty weak vanilla card, basically at the end of the day. Next, we have Astral Traveler. Astral Traveler is a solid 3-star. It's 170, 170, I believe. The issue, though, is that I think every deck that would play Astral Traveler just has a better option for like a cheap 3-star. Like if you think about Barrow has Adatrox, which is like way better than Astral Traveler because it has good stats and a good ability and has Planet Synergy. Knopf like same kind of deal. Like it has a similar niche as a 3-star that can swing over 150, but it also has a better ability and more planet synergy. So the only decks that might benefit from this card are like planets that need a 3-star, um, but don't really have a good one that has like decent stats. Um, but like that kind of niche like hasn't existed because most decks just have good cards. Most good decks already have good small creatures to fill this niche. So I'd put Astral Traveler in. It has really good stats for its star cost, but the fact that it doesn't have planet synergy and it doesn't have anything else to like make it stand out kind of holds it back because most decks will just have a better alternative to fill this kind of role. So I think put Astral Traveler in D tier pretty comfortably. Like Sindel has like Wakuman and Sword and like all those things as well. Let's see. Next is Omnius. Omnius is interesting because it did see some play at the beginning of like set 2 era CG. And partially it was because a lot of cards that would punish Omnius in that format were kind of underplayed at that time. But it's also because Omnius is just big, and since the game was so inconsistent at that time, there was like the potential to like open Omnius and then just like kind of win off of it because your opponent didn't draw answers fast enough. And then more recently, it still has a niche as like if your deck is going for like more of a fatigue strategy where you're just trying to get your opponent to waste all their cards and then win at the end, Omnius can be really good for that. It has obviously an amazing body that forces removal basically. Um, it's it like exerts a lot of pressure because it's of a high attack. So your opponent has to deal with it. And then if you get to an endgame state and they don't have any answers left to Omnius, you kind of just win. So I'd say it does have kind of a niche as like a win con for a fatigue deck, and it has seen play in the past. So I'd probably put it around like B. It's kind of a more fringe card, but it has seen some competitive play, I think. And then next is Galaxy Patrolman. I think this one was a limited edition created card contest winner for set 2. And this one is like pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The ability is pretty useless. You have to kill a card, and then that prevents your opponent from killing your creatures with a card from that planet. So it's really only helpful in mirror matches. I think Enchantment Chest like literally just does the same thing but better. So the ability is like not that good anyway, and then its stars are not very interesting either. There's not a lot that makes this card stand out, I think. And if you actually use its ability, you're probably at a disadvantage because you're killing cards in your hand. So I'd probably put it around here. It's just not that great. It also requires you to like, yeah, it's just not that good. And next we have Lost Baki Booga. Lost Baki Booga is interesting because it does have it has a really high health for its start cost, right? It's like 280. But its power is so low that it doesn't really matter. You can pay 3 stars for Lost Bagi Booga and you'll have like a decent wall. But like walls, if you have a wall in Chaos Galaxy that doesn't actively do anything, it doesn't threaten any points, it doesn't kill anything. Like the 30 power is not going to attack anything besides like Thornborg, and even that's not a great trade. You're trading like 3 for 1 or whatever. So yeah. This card just doesn't do a lot when it hits the board. It's a wall, but walls are just like not. Walls that do nothing are not very good generally. If your walls that do some things are like better, like obviously Serp and Cabostrus are like really good walls this format, but they have attacks and they have abilities that make them good. Lost Vagabuga is just kind of all health and nothing else, and so I'm gonna put it in F tier. Just kind of clogs up your board and doesn't do much. Now, that's the first set 3 card, I believe. And then the next one is going to be Infi, the Galactic Squire. And this is kind of really probably one of my favorite no planet creatures. It's really cool. It's a 2-star. It's like 100 something, 100 power, something health. Health doesn't matter that much. And basically, when it gets killed by battle, I believe, you get to search your deck for a night creature and then free play it to your planet. This has been a pretty good ability historically. It was seen in like some tempo builds early on in like tempo's like lifespan as a deck, and it was pretty good there. The Knight package also saw some play in like more aggressive Sindel builds as well. It's a really fun ability. It's a really good ability. Sometimes kind of inconsistent if you draw your knights before you draw your Infi, and it does take up quite a bit of deck space if you're playing Infi and Demon Knight and Pyro Knight. But I think it's overall pretty good, and it's seen some play here and there. I'd probably put it like a B tier as well. Should I order these? I don't know. I don't know if I want to order these. So yeah, that's that. And I think our last card for set 3 is Point Phantom. And Point Phantom basically has only seen success in Template Burn, and it is important in that deck. It can help you get points in the early game when your opponent doesn't have their activators yet. It can wall out smaller decks sometimes. It's good in combination with Ice Elixir. It can help you get points that way. It can bait out point threats and stuff as well, even though it doesn't matter that much in that matchup. So I'd say Point Phantom is pretty good in that deck, and it did see play when I got second at Beast Black Hole, Black Hole Battles too. So yeah, I'd put it there. It's not like a really amazing card, but it's like pretty good enough that I would say that much about it. Now, Cabaltment. Cabaltment is interesting. It has kind of a niche it's one of the few cards that can like bring itself back from the dead. However, you just need to run so many cards to make that like actually work. Like you have to run all those attachments. You have to run the Kabonk vanillas. You have to run the Perm Resource probably. Like there's just so many cards that go into actually making Cabaltment effect proc that makes it like not worth. And it doesn't help that its stats are okay, kind of. In previous formats, 410 was a really good power stat since it attacked over Melt and Atomic Key, and basically everything in that format. It's not very bulky, which is unfortunate. But yeah, just like the sheer amount of cards you actually have to like throw in the garbage to bring this card back is like makes this card like pretty bad to run. I think even as a vanilla, it's kind of meh. So I'd put it here pretty comfortably. The next is Glock Wielder. Wait, was Kabonk set 3 or 4? I think it's set 4. I'm pretty sure. And Glock Wielder was also set 4. This is supposed to be like a boss monster that pairs well with the Galacta attachments, like Galactic Gauntlet, Galacta Sword, Galacta Helm. So you can get some like pretty significant boosts off of Glock Wielder, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna be like an okay, decently statted creature that requires like multiple cards. So you have to run multiple cards to make it work, so I'm going to put it here as well. It's just a big creature that requires you to run bad cards to actually take advantage of, so it's probably going to make your deck worse if you run it. Also in set 4 is Bernard, the Mutant Space Worm. This card is probably the best no planet creature. I think that's like pretty undeniable. I'll just put it in A. I don't think there are any S tier creatures. There's never been like a staple no planet creature that's like really defined the meta. But Bernard has been a really core part of like OTK strategies and Gaia's combo. It's really enabled those decks in a way that not all these cards have really had an impact in the same way. And those cards have never been running the meta, but they have been solid, like scary, like 2-tier strategies, I think. So I'd feel pretty comfortable putting Bernard in A. Probably, I think most people would agree this is the best no planet creature that's been released. Not to say these are bad or anything, but I think this one has had the biggest impact on the game as a whole. So yeah, I put that there. And then DMA. DMA is interesting because I think this card has the potential to be like, like here, like it can, or like here. Like this is a really good card. In theory, it's basically like a Pelfam, but more specific. But it's never really been able to shine. Like there's not been a meta where removing creatures with changed health has been like relevant enough for this card to see play even in sideboard, I think. So this card I'm gonna put in C. I think this card is good and has the potential to be good. I think it's held back a little bit by its stats. I don't think its stats are the greatest thing in the world. But it's pretty good. I wouldn't like tell. I might tell someone to take. I don't know if I'd tell someone to take this out of their deck or not. If it was in sideboard, I'd probably let them have it. But yeah, so I'd probably put DM there. Dark Market Alchemist. Just decent card. Hasn't really had hasn't really had a chance to make an impact on the game. But I think it definitely has the potential to be a good sideboard card in the future. And that is all the no planet creatures. I don't think I missed any. I like double checked. I don't know any more on my list, so that should be it. I think I want to do these in planet order, so look forward to a Shios list next. Hopefully I can do all of the lists before set 5. And we can build up the hype as we get through all the cards. So yeah, if you liked, if you disagree or agree with my placements, make sure leave a comment down below. A list like this is super subjective. It's super hard to like rank cards with like their competitive potential. It's like weird. But yeah, making these is pretty fun. Subscribe for more Chaos Galaxy content. Link to the Discord down below if you want to play some games and join some tournaments. Link to other content creators. Links to a how-to play video if you don't really know how to play Chaos Galaxy. All that is down below. So thanks for watching. I'm going to go take some chicken out of the oven.